What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Justin. This, of course, is my sidekick, Pete. Let's talk about some movies. So today, guys, I just got it out of the shower. Sorry about the hair. I got water in my ears, too. Utter chaos. Pete, get back in your thing. So today, as you obviously saw in the title, we're gonna be going over everything that I watched in March. I have 8 titles I'm gonna talk about. Pretty decent. I've watched more. I think the most I've ever watched in a month is about 26 or 27. Today is 8, but they're a good 8. They're a solid 8. And you guys are gonna dig them. First off, before we get started, as Pete just stares into my soul and makes me uncomfortable, Pete, why don't you lay down, bud? Lay down. Lay down. Before we get started, I want to mention an amazing creator, the wonderfully talented Anna from the channel What a Ghoul Wants, has nominated me, yes, me, for Horror YouTuber of the Month. Not for this channel, for my other channel, The Dead Couch. That's my collecting channel, my physical media channel. I was nominated with a handful of other amazing content creators for Horror YouTuber of the Month, and I've linked a video down below, so you can vote for me there. If you go to the comments in the video that I've linked below, you can vote for your boy, and hopefully we can win. Now, I will quickly mention, don't just go over there just to vote for me. Of course, if you want to vote for me, that's awesome. But What a Ghoul Wants, as well as the other nominees, are a bunch of amazing horror content creators. I know you guys will love their content. If you like my stuff, you'll like all of the nominees, as well as Anna from What a Ghoul Wants. You'll love all their content. So definitely check that out. But I would love if you went and supported those channels, voted for me if you feel so inclined. That would be amazing. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Thank you so much to Anna for the nomination. It really does mean a lot. I've been doing this for a couple years now, and it always feels good to have your content noticed. So thank you so much, Anna, and good luck to all the other nominees. Voting ends March 31st of this month. So, and if you're watching this after March 31st, 2022, go over to that video that I've linked anyway, and you'll just find a bunch of new content creators. So, is that it, Pete? Did you have anything else before we start? Okay, yeah, just subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Hit the notifications. Choose to be notified for all my videos. Nobody's getting notifications. It's super annoying, but hit the notifications if you could. Also, follow me on Instagram. Every time I post a video, I post a link in my stories. I post it on my feed. It's another way to get reminded to check out my videos. So yeah, anyway, with all that bullshit out of the way, let's go ahead and get into everything that I watched in the month of March. I also can't see myself right now, and I bet I'm looking crazy. That's all good. We're gonna get through it. So we're gonna kick things off with the first thing I watched in March, and that is the ridiculously absurd 2009's Cabin Fever 2: Spring Fever. A high school prom faces a deadly threat, a flesh-eating virus that spreads via a popular brand of bottled water. So Cabin Fever 2 is actually the middle movie of a trilogy. If you didn't know that they made more Cabin Fevers, they made 2. Cabin Fever 2: Spring Fever. The third movie is Cabin Fever Patient Zero, which actually stars Samwise himself, Sean Astin. That's an underrated movie, but we'll talk about that another day. First Cabin Fever came out in 2003. It was Eli Roth's debut film. I'm a huge fan of Cabin Fever. I love that movie. I've seen it countless times. It doesn't always hold up to the standards of political correctness and the things that you'd get away with in modern movies, but either way, amongst its flaws, it is one of my favorite horror movies. It's an amazing body horror movie starring Ryder Strong, Jordan Ladd, about these kids who go into a cabin and they all get infected through their water supply with this disgusting flesh-eating virus. I guess Eli Roth at one point had a milder version of some kind of flesh-eating virus that he caught in Iceland or something, and the skin was coming off his face while he was shaving. It was a whole thing, and speaking of shaving, you guys know that infamous scene in Cabin Fever, but I digress. I love Cabin Fever. They made a sequel, and it was directed by Ty West. Ty West has since directing this completely disowned this film. He shot the film in the way he wanted it shot. He shot all the scenes he wanted, and then the studio started meddling, recut the whole film, and he disowned it. He actually wanted to take the Alan Smithy directing credit, which is a credit directors put on their movie when they want to completely remove their name from the production. He didn't want people to know that he directed this film. But the studio wanted his name on it, so there we go. There's 2 carryover characters from the original movie. Ryder Strong, very briefly. This movie actually picks up minutes after the first movie ends, so it's a direct continuation. It also stars Deputy Winston, if you remember the party guy, Deputy Winston. Giuseppe Andrews, he's in this, and he's great. It's a fun character.
Is everything okay?
Howdy, ma'am. Everything's fine. Just go back inside, have yourself a big 40, just party.
The cast of this is actually pretty damn good. We have Larry Fessenden, Judah Friedlander, Michael Bauer, who played Buck in Kill Bill. Noah Segan and even Mark Borchardt. Mark Borchardt from American Movie is in this movie. In this flick, what happens is you have a really simple setup. An infected water supply that infects this bottled water, and then they hand all of this bottled water out to all the kids who are attending a prom. This movie is not as good as the first one. I can definitely see where Ty West has issues with the editing. This movie is all over the place. It's just a bizarre movie, but the practical effects are amazing. It has Ty West's signature look. Ty West just did the recent movie X, which I'll be talking about in this video as well. But so it has that signature vintage throwback look, but you know, the way this movie is edited, it is weird. I see why Ty West has issues with it. Either way, I enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of Cabin Fever. I love body horror, and this movie has some unbelievably cringy, gross body horror that's actually pretty damn entertaining. So I talked about Cabin Fever 2 way too long. Let's go ahead and move on to the second movie of the month, and that is 2022's Fresh, starring Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar-Jones, the feature debut of Mimi Cave. I love this movie. I did a full review on this flick. The basic setup is you have Daisy Edgar-Jones. I don't know if it's Daisy Edgar or Edger, but she plays a character who's fed up with the dating world. She kind of gives up on it, but in that last moment, she's at the grocery store and she happens to meet Sebastian Stan's character, and she starts dating him, and she finds out he has a lot of things in common with somebody like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. I'll say that. I don't want to spoil everything, but this movie is amazing. You can check out my full review down below. I loved it. It's streaming on Hulu right now for free, so definitely check it out. A lot of style, great special effects. The performances are fantastic. The chemistry between Daisy Jones and Sebastian Stan is really great. It's shot really well. Feature debut from Mimi Cave. She did a great job. So that's 2022's Fresh. The next movie I watched is 1987's Fatal Attraction, starring Michael Douglas, Glenn Close. This is an obviously infamous, super famous 80s movie about a guy who cheats on his wife, and the woman who he cheats on his wife with turns out to be an insane person, and it just gets chaotic as hell. The movie is absolutely insane. I love it. This is directed by Adrian Lyne, who directed a ton of movies with similar themes. It seems to always be a woman being unfaithful to a man. Maybe he had some bad luck with the ladies earlier in his life, but he's made movies like Flashdance, Jacob's Ladder, the recent Deepwater, Indecent Proposal, and his masterpiece, in my opinion, is Unfaithful with Richard Gere and Diane Ladd. I love that movie. If you have not seen the movie Unfaithful, it is incredible. Richard Gere plays this guy who seems to have a happy marriage and happy family, but he finds out his wife's been seeing this guy on the side, and he goes to confront this guy, and things get out of hand, and it's an amazing suspense or sort of erotic thriller that they don't make too often. But Fatal Attraction is fantastic. Glenn Close, although she seems like the unlikely character that this particular guy would have gone for, temptation gets the better of him, and Michael Douglas and Glenn Close is amazing. I want to say Glenn Close may even have won an Academy Award, but I got sidetracked talking about the Academy Awards, thinking of that crazy ass Chris Rock, Will Smith shit. But definitely check this out. 1987's Fatal Attraction. It's fucking great. Next up is 2022's X. I did a full review for that. I love this movie. I don't think anything is going to knock X out of the top spot in my top 10 movies of the year. It's going to take a lot. I don't think anything's going to knock it out of the top spot. Maybe The Northman, possibly. I don't know. That is about the only thing that I could predict that would ever knock this movie out of the top spot. It's amazing. Go watch my spoiler-free review. The basic premise, without giving anything away, is this group of people in 1979, they pack up in a van, they head out to this remote farmhouse to shoot a porno film. And the people who own the house find out what they're doing, and shit spins out of control. It's amazing. Check out my review down below. Next up is 2013's Return to Nukem High. Return to Nukem High 2013 is the sequel to Lloyd Kaufman's infamous original movie Class of Nukem High that was released in '91. It's a Troma film. For those of you who are not familiar with Troma, Lloyd Kaufman and his buddy Michael Hertz founded this super micro budget independent film company, and they've been cranking out films ever since the 70s. Romeo and Juliet, Terror Firmer, Toxic Avenger, Poultrygeist. They have very specific brand of micro-budget, gross-out, practical effects-driven, absurdist horror films. These are not going to be for everybody at all. I would be surprised if even like 30% of general audiences enjoy trauma films. Now, the interesting thing about Lloyd Kaufman is he still makes movies like it's 1981. He doesn't give a shit about political correctness or inappropriate humor or nudity or just general ridiculousness. He makes a very, very specific brand of film, and he's never stopped making that very specific brand of film in 30 years. He's the guy who gave us Toxic Avenger. The plot involves students of Newcomb High, a school located directly next to a nuclear power plant, and basically a batch of people either turn into mutated piles of goop and or homicidal maniacs. The violence in these movies are completely absurd. They're cartoonishly violent with the use of like the cheapest possible special effects of all time. They're laughable. It's really violent and really gory, but it's done in a way that's so over the top that these are basically comedies that you're watching. I wouldn't call them horror films. The humor is often offensive. The violence is ridiculous. And trauma films are just a fucking blast. A lot of big filmmakers now who have cut their teeth on trauma films, people like Joe Lynch, the director of Wrong Turn 2. James Gunn came from the school of trauma. He's kind of like Roger Corman in a way, Lloyd Kaufman. He just cranks out low-budget exploitation and it makes money because he spends so little making them. Poultrygeist is probably my favorite trauma film. I love that movie. And I had a great time with this one. Class of Nukem High, it's everything you'd expect. If you're into trauma films, he came back with Return to Nukem High Parts 1 and 2. His up-and-coming Shakespeare shitstorm should be coming out soon too, so I highly recommend this if you're into absolutely bottom-of-the-barrel exploitation bullshit. You'll probably enjoy this one, so check out Return to Nukem High from 2013. Next up is 2022's Windfall. I actually watched this on Netflix. This movie impressed the hell out of me. I absolutely loved Windfall. This movie's amazing. This movie stars Jason Segel, Lily Collins, and Jesse Plemons. It's interesting, none of their characters have names. They're just listed as nobody, wife, and CEO. It's a chamber piece. It's a one-location movie. Basically, the plot kicks off when Jason Segel's character thinks the owner of this house is gone, this billionaire CEO and his wife, but just as he's getting ready to leave, they unexpectedly come home, and his wife, the CEO's wife, catches Jason Segel there, and the plot just basically stems from them trying to dig themselves out of this situation. This movie is insanely well written. It's well paced. Like I said, I love these movies with just a handful of characters in one location. It was great to see Jason Segel back again. Lily Collins is great, but Jesse Plemons steals the show in this movie. He is just incredible. First thing I ever saw him in was in Breaking Bad, where he plays that really shitty kid who is just sadistic. If you guys seen Breaking Bad, you know what character he played, but man, what an incredible actor. Definitely check out Windfall. I have a feeling people are going to pass over this because it's just a thumbnail on Netflix. Being that there's only 3 characters in a single location, the suspense is high in this one. It's great. Definitely check out 2022's Windfall. Next up, I actually just posted my review to this, and that is Scream Legacy. It's a fan film you can watch for free on YouTube right now. It's a continuation of the original Scream trilogy. So it's a fan film that takes place after the events of Scream 3. It ignores Scream 4 and 5. I did a full in-depth spoiler-free review. I'll link that video down below. You can check out my review. It's only an hour long. It is a fan film. It's not an official Scream release, so just keep that in mind. Give this movie a shot. Up-and-coming director, I think his name is Zach Salazar. He directed the hell out of this movie. You could tell with very minimal resources. He actually had a composer come in and write a complete score for this movie, so it has really good soundtrack, a couple decent kills and some decent performances. It's interesting. It's interesting seeing this director's idea of what his 4th installment would have been for the Scream franchise. Because like I said, it ignores Scream 4 and 5 and picks up after the events of 3. So we got a new killer reveal, a whole new story, all new characters. It's interesting. Check it out. That's Scream Legacy. I'll link Scream Legacy down below. Like I said, it's on YouTube for free. And finally, this absurd, ridiculous movie that I watched last night, and that is Ticks from 1993. This movie stars Amy Dollins. It stars Seth Green. It stars Alfonso Ribeiro Riviera or Carlton from Fresh Prince. Speaking of Will Smith again. But guys, this movie, if you guys are into 90s cheese, this is an amazing creature feature about these mutated ticks. There's some people, I can't remember if it's a government agency or somebody, growing a bunch of weed out in a remote location in the woods, and somehow the water supply, I don't know, it's a big convoluted dumb situation. It infects the tick population in this woods. You have a bunch of troubled teens, like Alfonso Riviero plays this like wannabe tough guy kid. It's hilarious.
See, they call me Panic because I never do.
You have Seth Green playing this nerdy kid. It's troubled youths, and they take him out to this remote cabin to try to reform them or whatever, and everybody gets attacked by these mutated ticks. It's so much fun. Directed by Tony Randall. It's actually well directed for how cheesy it is, but if you're into 90s cheese, like I said, creature features, bug movies, in the vein of like Starship Troopers, Eight-Legged Freaks, Arachnophobia, bug-centered creature features, you guys will really get a kick out of this. It's fucking hilarious. You gotta watch this movie just to see Alfonso Riviera or Carlton from Fresh Prince playing this fucking street tough with a switchblade knife and sunglasses. His name is Panic. Oh, it's hilarious. And Seth Green, one of his very, very, very first roles. Probably shot this about the same time he did Airborne back in the day. But anyway, I've had too much caffeine. I talked about all of these movies way too quickly, and I said way too much about all of them, but that's how we do it. We're very verbose and very, very descriptive on this channel. Anyway, guys, I think we're done here. Don't forget to vote for me for Horror YouTuber of the Month. I linked What a Ghoul Wants or Anna's video down below, and that's how you vote in the comment section of that video. I'll link the Scream Legacy down below. I'll link my other reviews down below, and you guys can just have a fucking ball, all right? So guys, I think we're done here. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself. Remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye. All of a sudden, I got real drunk. PD, all of a sudden, I got real drunk.